I want to emphasize what you can do to track an offline campaign specifically. When thinking about something seasonal like a Black Friday sale and possibly with some offline advertising, what you'll want to report on will depend on what kind of advertising you're engaging in and how you're tracking it, plus how people typically get in touch with you. For example, if you're running radio ads or purchasing billboards, you'll likely see an increase in branded mentions in Google Search Console. Or if you're running a branded campaign in Google Ads, you'll see increases in impressions and hopefully clicks there as well. I also strongly recommend adding QR codes where it makes sense. Who knew that QR codes would be brought back via COVID? But they do work great, and people do truly use them now. And since you can send a QR code anywhere, definitely make sure to send it to somewhere that has your UTM tracking added for your campaign. For example, for a Black Friday sale, I might use this UTM structure, assuming this is an ad that's, say, inside a bus. The UTM medium would be offline because it's an offline marketing tactic. The UTM source of OOH because this is out-of-home advertising. UTM campaign of BF 2024 for Black Friday 2024. UTM content of Blue Shoe Sale. This is a specific product or service we're advertising. You'll see in this example I've used plus symbols to separate words. Plus symbols turn into spaces in GA4, but you can use dashes or underscores too. I personally just like using the plus symbols. Then you would use a URL like that in your QR code in your bus ad, or if you need to actually print out or say a URL, you can set up a redirect. For example, let's say we're advertising on a radio station named The Zone. That's the alt-rock station where I live. Then I'd make my URL be yoursite.com/thezone and say that in the radio ad that there's a deal there just for Zone listeners. Then that short URL would then redirect to the longer URL that has our UTMs added to it. We use a plugin for WordPress named Redirection to do this, but there's lots of ways to redirect a URL on your site to another URL with UTMs added on. If you're feeling stuck on how to do this, come and ask in the community. The major thing I want you to take away from this is that you need to ensure you have as much tracking as possible set up in advance. Of course, we can't track everything, and we can't track everyone, but by adding in these tracking URLs, tracking numbers, ensuring we're using UTMs as much as possible, we can try to close some of those gaps in our measurement. Plus, consider what would happen after the sale. Sometimes big sales can have long-term impacts, especially if you sell a product that people need to buy regularly. Create an audience in GA4 of people who visited your site via your campaign name. For example, this is what an audience would look like if I use the campaign name BF 2024. Set the audience duration to the maximum, and then you can see if these visitors who engage with your sale are coming back again and again, and maybe even repeat purchasing. Additionally, if you create an event trigger for your campaign audience, you can then use that audience as your cohort inclusion event in a cohort exploration. That's a great way to see a breakdown of repeat visits, key events, or transactions over time from a specific source, such as a Black Friday sale. Have more questions or want advice on how to set up tracking for your own sales? Definitely come and ask in the community.